Nina Turner is a seminal political leader, a fierce public intellectual, and a self-described hell-raising humanitarian who has inspired millions with her unapologetic advocacy for equity, dignity, and democracy. She is the founder and president of We Are Somebody, a coalition building organization rooted in lifting up the voices of the working class and uniting movements across race, class, and geography. A former Cleveland City Council member and Ohio State Senator, she made history as the first Black woman elected to represent her ward and went on to serve as the 25th Senate District with courage and clarity. Nationally, she's best known for her leadership as a senior surrogate for Senator Bernie Sanders in 2016 and as national co-chair of his 2020 campaign, mobilizing millions across around a bold, justice center political vision. Nina Turner is also a senior fellow at the Institute on Race, Power, and Political Economy at the New School, where she carries forward the legacy of civil rights giants like Asa Philip Randolph, Bayard Rustin, and Dr. King by championing the freedom budget for all Americans. She understands that the Black liberation struggle and the labor movement are not separate fights, they are the same fight. It's always an honor to be in the same space with you, and take it away, sister.
Thank you, Hanya, so very much. And yes, we are sisters. To Nikki and to the congressman, I really appreciate everything that they had to say for climate defiance in particular. When you're putting your bodies on the line in the face of this type of neo-fascism, it is absolutely a sight to see. And I hope that everyone that has joined us tonight will continue to support their work. If we are all on a team, different members of the team have different positions, and organizations like Climate Defiance, they play in a very pivotal and also dangerous position, given the threats that this administration poses, extra threats. They were already always under threat, even with the Democrats. To the congressman, I really appreciate his bold analysis on this party and the fact that he said that his organization is not to lift up the Democratic Party, is to lift up the people. And I say amen to that. I've often said that I am in the party, but not of the party, meaning I don't worship at the feet of any political party. I worship God and I serve the people. And I don't mind bumping up against the Democratic Party because they are the reason why we do have a President Donald J. Trump 2.0. They need to do a real autopsy. Big ups to Roots Action for always pushing hard when other people do not. And again, everybody plays a different role, but Roots Action has been there consistently, standing up even when it was unpopular and calling the Democratic Party out, warning the Democratic Party that this could and might happen. Just love you all so much. Norman, Sam, Hanya, Bill, all everybody. Roots Action is so strong. I don't know if India is on here too, but just you all are the absolute truth. So having this call to organize, to talk about the future, to understand the future, though, we got to dip back into the past. We are driven and motivated by past, present, and future. Past, present, and future. Past, present, and future shape how we move forward. We have to have an understanding of the past. We got to strategically look at what is happening in the future, in the present, and then we got to plan for a future. And oftentimes the plans that we work on, just like the people who've come before, some of those people are still walking the face of this earth. They understood very much that the things that they were fighting for, they might not necessarily enjoy in their lifetime, but that did not stop them from fighting. So as the founder and leader of We Are Somebody, it is a coalition and capacity building organization for working class people from all walks of life, unionized, non-unionized, those working class people who making six figures and those who may be making five or even less than that. If you work for a living, you are a part of the working class. Some of us may be blessed to be more than 2 or 3 paychecks away, but ultimately, if you don't have a sugar daddy, a sugar mama, a trust fund, or sugar somebody, you work for a living. And we must build coalitions among class and caste. We have to understand that the system as it is designed was always designed to bear pressure on poorer people and then an extra type of pressure on Black people. I need to get a hello somebody if you understand what I am saying. that there is nothing worse than chattel slavery, the legacy of chattel slavery in the United States of America. And so that makes Black Americans who are descendants of those who were enslaved uniquely positioned in our liberation struggle to help to liberate other marginalized communities. Can I get a hello, somebody in the chat? So the freedom budget for all Americans, as envisioned by the architects, Asa Philip Randolph, one of the greatest unionists of the 20th century, lifted up, created the organization, started the organization, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. Baby, if you don't know that history, I double dog dare you to go and study it, putting everything on the line. He was threatened, just all kinds of stuff, in the same way that we see types of threats on justice warriors in our time. There were justice warriors in every generation. And we, yes, we are the personification of those justice warriors in our time. I don't know about you, but I'm just fed up. Things that I taught in my history classes as a college professor, I never thought that we would live through them, but we are living through a neo-fascist regime empowered by neoliberalism. The neoliberals cause this. Now, I often say neoliberalism will kill you slow and neo-fascism will kill you quick. But ultimately, they both kill. And that is what is happening. So I love the demand for the Democratic Party to come forward and talk about a plan. Now, we know we got to fight against neo-fascism. That is a given. But what we must understand is that equally we must fight against neoliberalism, and we must have a vision. The human spirit craves to fight for something, not just against something. And it boggles my mind that even in this moment, with a 27% approval rating for the Democratic Party and about 36% for the Republicans, because so they can't holler too loud because their approval rating ain't much better. But the Democratic Party, the fact that it has not had an autopsy, the fact that it has not been bold to say that we will take dark money out of primaries minimally, I'm so glad that the congressman let it be known that the AIPAC DMFI strategy started in Ohio District 11. They didn't even want to let Sister Turner even make it in the door. And then they were able to build upon that and attack Congress members Bowman and Bush. They did the training in Ohio 11, and people must never ever forget it. And they were assisted by the neoliberals of the Congress. That is the truth. And so the Democratic Party has to decide, is it going to be the party of the corporate interests and the mega donors, or is it going to be the party of the people? You cannot do both. You cannot serve two masters. And so during the DNC convention, even this last convention, the most powerful people in terms of money were able to purchase loges high above for hundreds of thousands of dollars into the millions, looking down on the Democratic faithful. My indictment tonight is not the Democratic faithful. It is the so-called leaders of the Democratic Party that got us in this position in the first place. I argue that Senator Schumer should go, that leader Hakeem Jeffries should go. All of them folks that were architects in Trump being able to get a second run ought to go, because they don't know what the hell they are doing. They need to step out of the way. You cannot, with the same leadership, lead people to victory. So now let me get back to the freedom budget, because I'm all off my notes. The freedom budget is a vision for the future. It is something that all of us collectively can use to fight for. It might surprise you that all the progressive stuff that those of us who call ourselves progressives, because there's some faux progressives, I'm calling myself a liberator, Sam. You hear me? I don't even want to be called a progressive no more, because people playing games with the word progressive. I am a liberator. However, the architects of the freedom budget, they laid out all the stuff we're talking about right now. Guaranteed income, universal health care, farm parity, making sure we take care of farmers, making sure we take care of those people who cannot and should not work. All of those things they had already thought of. Asa Philip Randolph leaned on the vision of FDR with the four freedoms. The freedom from fear, the freedom from want was the one that he really laser focused on, right? The freedom of speech and the freedom of religion. And those who understand the history, when FDR was talking about these things, he was not just talking about these things for those of us who live in the United States of America. He said we must have those things at home and abroad, because what he understood as a leader, that we're only so safe as a nation as our next nation and the next nation and the next nation. What he understood is that what happens over there happens over here, that we can't be secure over here unless people are secure over there. Hello, Gaza. Hello, Congo. Hello, Yemen. Hello, Sudan. Hello, Haiti, and wherever people are oppressed in the world. It would behoove the Democratic Party to pick up that mantle. And even though FDR was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, he understood that the American people were making a sacrifice during World War II, and he understood that he had to do something to guarantee. So that is why he wanted to do a second Bill of Rights. We call it the Economic Bill of Rights. That people, you cannot be free and be needy at the same time. And so the fact that we have a neo-fascist in the White House and neoliberals in leadership who answer to the same masters. They answer to the same owner donors. They are the opposite sides of the same coin, and we must root them out. So the freedom budget for all Americans. Bayard Rustin, one of the architects of the civil rights movement, he said that this country never has and never will do anything solely for the Negro. That is really hard for the Black community to really come to grips with, but it is true. I say to you that this country was never designed for people who look like me, for people who are descendants of those who were enslaved, to walk around this country as equals. We know that when white supremacy attacks and there's anti-Blackness, they come for everybody else. They come for women. They come for the LGBTQ plus community. They come for any marginalized group. They come for our otherly abled. Black folks are the canary in the coal mine. And so we have to understand that and stop playing games. The freedom budget for all Americans says everybody that is working class deserves certain things, that you have certain fundamental rights to clean air, clean water, clean food, to health care, to those fundamental things that will give you the ability to live your greatest greatness. That is what the freedom budget is all about. And so we are pushing that as a vision for the future. As others, that coalition that needs to be built. Everybody has a role to play on that field. The freedom budget for all Americans. People understand what freedom means, and they understand what budget means, and they understand what all means. And the architects of the freedom budget, they had that vision way ahead of time. We are taking that and bringing it into the 21st century. We have added anti-war, pro-peace. Hello, somebody. We have added no dark money in Democratic primaries. I want it in the general too, but come on, I get it from a tactical point of view. If we don't get both parties to do it, I understand why the Democrats might say, "Nah, look, we should do it in the primary. We can't necessarily do it in the general yet." But that doesn't stop us from pushing for it. I want the Democrats to come out bold right now, and say no dark money in primaries, and that any Democrat that takes money in dark money and corporate money in a primary, we don't want you. We don't want you. Let's see if they're willing to do that. I don't doubt that there are some people that have a lot of money who understand that what is happening in this country is untenable. I don't doubt that there are some people out there like that, because there are. The patriotic millionaires are such a group, and others. I get that. So they won't be mad that we're talking about the people who really have all of that money, and they don't care what happens to the rest of us. It is an immoral system. It is an untenable system. It cannot last. And that is why we must push for the freedom budget for all Americans. And every single politician that runs for office that wants the votes of everyday people in this nation, they must say that they believe in the pillars of the freedom budget for all Americans. Americans, all, lottie dottie and everybody, as my grandmother would say. And so I want to close my remarks by saying this. James Baldwin once said that not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. We have an obligation to face the challenges and the inhumanity of our time. The same power structure that thinks it's okay to bomb people in Gaza is the same power structure that does not give a damn about whether the children in the city that I live in go to bed at night hungry. It is the same power structure that did not care that Norfolk derailed a train in East Palestine, Ohio, where there are poor, working class white folks who overwhelmingly voted for Trump. But when I went there to check on them, they said, we want more government, not less. Hello, somebody. They understood that there was a crisis point. They said, we want somebody to answer to what just happened to us. The antithesis of what the GOP is putting out there. When people are in dire need, that is when government should step in. Government is designed for us to do collectively what we cannot do as individuals. We need a social contract, and that freedom budget is the social contract. My last point on my last point. Progressives, those who call yourselves progressives, but you believe it in your heart, your mind, your soul, and the spirit. I want you to know that the American people are with you. They not with them other folks. They not with the neoliberals or the neo-fascists. If you ask somebody, would you like to go bankrupt because you can't pay your medical bills? It don't matter if they identify as a Republican, a Libertarian, a Democrat, a little country, little rock and roll. The average person is going to say, no, sir, no, ma'am. I don't want to go file bankruptcy because I can't afford to pay my medical bills. If you ask the average everyday American, would you like to have universal child care? They would say, yes, please. If you ask them, would you like to have autonomy in your workplace and not be retaliated against because you want to form a union? They would say, yes, please. More of that. So we need to understand, those of us who are on a justice journey, that the average everyday American is with us and the policies that we are pushing. They might not necessarily call themselves progressives, but they identify with the issues. So we must continue to fight for and fight against. We just can't be fighting against. We got to have a vision that provides provision for the people, and the freedom budget for all Americans is that vision.
Hello, somebody, and
Hello,
thank you. Thank you for lifting us up. You always do that. I think the first time I heard you speak, I sent a message to a friend of mine, and I said, I just felt the ground shake under my feet. And I do that every single time. 3 years has passed. So, Cynthia, I want to take you back to the Target boycott. On January 24th of 2025, Target announced plans to scale back its DEI program, including those aimed at advancing Black employees and promoting Black-owned businesses. Take us through how your leadership has uplifted this Target boycott and where we're sitting at and where we're at and how we're progressing.
Thank you for that question, Hanya. Yes, on January the 24th, the CEO of Target, Brian Cornell, first name is Brian, I think I got that last name correct. On January the 24th, under the threat of the Trump administration, signed an executive order admonishing corporations who had a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want you all to ask yourself, what is wrong with having a commitment to diverse, equitable, and inclusive environments? But here we are. So that was on January the 24th. On January 25th, We Are Somebody put out a statement that said that we are going to boycott Target on February 1. So from January 24th to February 1, the CEO of Target had every opportunity to come and try to have a conversation with We Are Somebody Until Freedom. And also we are in partnership with Reverend Jamaal Bowman in Atlanta. The Target Fast was the first phase, like the activity phase of that boycott. They did no such thing. As you laid out, Hanya, they said they're rolling back. They made several commitments after the murder of George Floyd, which was the right thing to do. The CEO said, and I'm paraphrasing him, but I almost got him verbatim, that George Floyd could have been one of his employees. And because of what happened to him was so extreme that he wanted to do something, that he was going to increase black businesses within Target, that they were going to spend $2 billion with black businesses across not just products in stores, but also in construction, and just other things as they built new stores and a whole sort of other promises. That was the right thing for him to do. But then he bit to bigotry. They bent to bigotry when he could have stood up like Costco did and other companies, the CEO of Marriott and others said, no, we're not going to bend to bigotry. But that is exactly what he did. So for 10 weeks, the foot traffic in Target has decreased. Their market share has decreased. They are feeling the pain of this boycott. We just had a town hall in Atlanta at Pastor Jamaal Bryant's church and said that we are going to continue to boycott Target. Target is the first of many. There is power in our purchase, and we should not allow these corporations to play us. And since these corporations, not just Target, but others, they want to fund politicians who don't do the right thing by the everyday people in this country. So as my grandmother said, we can show you better than we can tell you. Target is the first, but it is not the last. And I want to share a stat with the folks who have joined us. I want you to understand. So I need to get this stat exactly right. So I'm going to go to my notes because I want you to understand that Target is not the only problem. Target is part of a larger problem with the corporate states of the United States of America, because that's what we're dealing with, the corporate states. This CEO makes 719 times as much that the average employee at Target, 719 times more. 1,719 to 1. The average Target employee makes $26,000 and some change. I want you to go ahead and put in the chat, that ain't right. That ain't right. And this, he's not the only one. I'm trying to pull up some other stats here. They're not the only one. For Costco, it's about 262 to 1. Not good, but a little better. In earlier times in this country history, it was not, the gap between CEO pay and worker pay was not that stark. But as time has gone on, the gap between those pays have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. It is immoral, and we must call it out. And we need a change in this country. Everybody in this country should minimally make a living wage. That's not asking for too much, a living wage. So we going strong. I'm asking folks to boycott Target. If you not, come on now. You ain't got to go nowhere. You don't have to, you just don't go to Target. That's all you got to do. You got other choices. And I know all those other choices, Hanya and Sam, are not the best. But we starting with one. We can't fight all these people at one time. We making an example of Target. We're going to move on to others. But we are asking you to not shop at Target. And if you want to support the Black-owned businesses, other businesses of color, if you want to support those businesses, go directly to those businesses' website. We created a list of all those businesses. But whatever you do, do not go to Target.
Well, thanks again, Senator. Thanks so much for being with us. It's always so great to have you on these calls, and we really appreciate you so much. Um, Before we sign off tonight, I just want to boost again our call to action. We're asking folks to contact their reps and tell them to say to the DNC, join Congressman Ro Khanna in saying to the DNC that we need an emergency meeting. We need an emergency meeting of the DNC now to talk about strategy, talk about how to combat Trumpism, talk about how to act like a real opposition party. So I'm going to put some text to our call to action there in the chat. You can see the petition that RootsAction has started. You can also see a link there to contact your congressperson. We want everyone to just take a few minutes right after this call, or do it tomorrow morning if you're on the East Coast like me and you need to go to bed after this call. Make sure to contact your rep and tell them that you're serious about this. You think it's time that the Democrats got serious about fighting against Trump. And a good first step in doing that will be to convene an emergency public meeting of the DNC. So please make sure to go to that link, go to our call to action, and learn more about how you can make that call.